Before we talk about GPIO specifically, let me explain what a peripheral is. If you look at a microcontroller, it's not just a processor. It also contains many built-in functional blocks that we call peripherals. For example, we have I2C peripheral to communicate with sensors. We have a timer peripheral to track the time and to generate different signals. We have ADC peripheral to read analog signal. And the most fundamental among all these peripherals is, of course, GPIO, General Purpose Input Output. So what does it do? If you look at a microcontroller, you can see small metal pins around it. Okay, just like this. And some of those pins are power lines. So we have to connect a VCC and ground, for example. But the rest are general purpose input output pins that we can use for different things. And the GPIO is what lets us to control the state of those pins. So in GPIO, we have first of all output mode. Okay, output mode. In output mode, we can control the state of those pins. So if in our code we set a pin, particular pin, the microcontroller will apply a voltage to that pin, typically 3.3 volts. So for example, if I draw the body of the microcontroller, okay, this is our MCU. And if I set a specific pin, for example, this one, if I set, we will end up with 3.3 volts here. So the classical example of the GPIO mode is controlling the LED. So we can connect the LED. Okay, it can emit a light. We have, of course, some resistor in series. Then we have a ground, for example. So when we set a pin, the LED will turn on. But if we reset, so instead of setting, if we reset, what's going to happen? Of course, instead of 3 volts, 3.3, we end up with 3 volts, and the LED will turn off. So by setting, so when we set, we have light, and by resetting a pin, no light. No light. We can control the state of the LED. So it's very simple idea, but this is the foundation of everything in embedded programming. So I think it is enough to switch to the practical side. So next, we're going to set up a new project and we will configure the pin in output mode. Now let's move on to the practical part of the lesson. First, we launch STM32 CubeMix and start a new project. And using the board selector, we choose our board. And if this is your first time running CubeMix, it may need to download some files from ST servers. Just be patient, it only happens once. In the board selector, search for Nuclear F401RE or any other microcontroller you're using. Select it and then press Start Project. CubeMix will ask whether to initialize all peripherals with their default mode. Choose No, because we want to start from a blank page and configure everything ourselves, so we understand every setting we touch. Once the project loads, we see the graphical representation of the microcontroller. Every pin is labeled with its name and functionality. I think it's a perfect moment to introduce pin labeling in STM32 microcontrollers. So if we look at the graphical representation, we have those labels PB8, PB9, and so on. So in STM32 microcontrollers, the pins are grouped into ports. So we have port A, port B, C, and so on. And every port has pins numbered from 0 to 15. So, for example, if we have PC14, what does it mean? It means it belongs to port C and pin 14. Okay? PC0, it's also port C, pin 0. PA12, for example, it is port A and pin 12. So this is how the pin labeling is handled in STM32 microcontrollers. Full course, full documentation, stepschool.com. Links below. Back to the code. On the left, you have the list of peripherals, analog, timers, connectivity, and more. We will explore those later. For now, our goal is simple. Combine the onboard LED using GPIO output mode. Every nuclear board has a built-in user LED. On my board, it's connected to PA5. So click on it and set it to the GPIO output. It is actually selected by default, but let's do it deliberately so you understand the process. You can also right-click the pin and add a user label, something like LED control, which makes the generated code much easier to read later. We will cover the clock configuration tab later in the course, so we'll leave it at the default for now. Switch to the project manager tab. The most important setting here is the toolchain. Make sure STM32 CubeIDE is selected. Give the project a name, something like STM32 GPIO programming. Choose a project location. I use a dedicated firmware folder so everything stays organized. And leave the rest of at their defaults, then press generate code. CubeMix is now translating all the configuration choices we made into C source files. It's not programming the microcontroller, we're just generating the project skeleton. When it finishes, press open project and CubeIDE will launch automatically. CubeIDE will ask you to select a workspace. It's just a directory where your projects live. I use the same folder where I keep all my firmware projects to avoid confusion later. Once it opens, take a quick look at the project structure. And for example, inside the drivers folder, you will find libraries for each peripheral. For example, GPIO source and header files contain the HAL functions, high-level, ready-to-use functions that hide the low-level register details from us. You will also see a CMSIS folder. This contains the low-level libraries we will use in part 2 of the course, when we bypass HAL completely and program directly at the register level. For now, we stay in HAL. Open main.c. Code execution starts in the function called main. Near the top, you will see the code configuration code. and we will explain that in detail later, followed by the GPIO initialization. This is where you will find our LED control configured exactly the way we set it up in Kubemix. Output mode, no pull resistor connected. Now we write the actual logic. To change the state of the pin, we will use the function HAL GPIO write pin. It takes three arguments: the GPIO port, the pin number, and the state we want to set. If you open main.h, you will find the macro for the port and pin we labeled earlier in Kubemix. That label is what makes the macro name readable instead of cryptic GPIO pin 5. We passed that macro in as the pin argument. For the state, we use GPIO pin set, which you will find defined in the GPIO header file. After setting the pin, we add a delay using HAL delay, passing the time in milliseconds. 1000 means a 1 second delay. Then we copied the same two lines and change set to reset to turn the LED back off another second. All of this goes inside the while loop, and basically in an infinite loop, since the condition is always true. That's what makes the LED link blink continuously. Set, delay, reset, delay, and repeat that actions forever. Save the file and connect your microcontroller and press debug button. The first time you do this, CubeIDE will build the project and check for errors. You'll see a prompt with a default debug configuration settings. Just press OK. Also, CubeIDE might ask to update the ST-Link firmware. ST-Link is basically the bridge between your computer and the microcontroller, and it occasionally needs a firmware update. Yeah, press yes and let it finish. Press debug again, and the CubeIDE will ask to switch to the debug perspective. Confirm, and you will land in debugger mode. Right now we're in the debugger mode, and it's worth to explain what it is. In software development, in firmware development in general, the significant part of your time you will spend on debugging, fixing the bugs, fixing the logic of your code. And the debugger mode will provide you with a lot of tools so you can do that effectively. So for example, you can run the code line by line, you can put the breakpoints, you can check the variables in real time. So there are a lot of tools, but I will explain them steadily as we progress. But right now, what I ask you to do, I ask you to resume the code. So when we press the resume, it will start running the microcontroller. The microcontroller will start running our code. So we resume our code and look at this. You see this green LED blinking? What does it mean? That our code is working. It's blinking as we expected. And what we can do, we can pause, we can suspend. So if I press, you see it's not blinking anymore because the microcontroller stopped the execution of the code. But we can resume it again and it will start running. So that's it. Next, we will switch to the GPIO input mode, and I will explain how to work with the GPIO input mode.